Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day to
Hmm.
sit down and talk with me. Like, I've known you for a very long time, but my friends, my viewers do not know the man, myth, the legend, Melvin Williams.
Okay.
So we'll start with, where are you from?
Okay. So short and dirty. Excuse the background noise, but
It's all
as
good.
born in Louisiana, Lafayette, New Iberia area. Born in Lafayette, raised in Beaumont, Texas, southeast, and around the Golden Triangle area, and pretty much, yeah, that was been most of my childhood.
Most of your childhood
Hmm.
there. Okay, cool. What about so after that, where did you go?
So military took me out of that area.
Which branch?
So starting with the Marine Corps, went boot camp to San Diego, California, and that we went further training Camp Pendleton most of the time before going over to Okinawa, Japan, and then from there traveling to DC, um, and some training in Camp Lejeune, and that was most of my active duty until going to reserve, which took me out to like Towson area, Bowling, and Andrews. With some detachments from there. So that's my reserve on the Marine Corps. And then after that, I joined into the Air Force Reserve to go up, which was mostly on Andrews with the Civil Engineers unit there, and which I learned how to be a water purification expert, which is basically plumber and and fuel services and stuff like that. So that took me training different places, and from there uh, we traveled over to Europe as far as like Frankfurt, Germany, and then I also deployed from there as well to Afghanistan and traveled to Afghanistan for about a year or so with the Air Force and going across the country fixing things that the Army broke pretty much. So we were part of the engineering group that was right next door on Bagram to the Corps of Engineers that everybody knows.
Right. So what was your specialty in the Marine Corps?
In the Marine Corps, I started off as comm center operator. The number doesn't mean anything now because they've changed it, but it was 2542. So basically, you had a message come through. We had, it could be anything from a Red Cross message to like any type of operational messages in a message center. So it's not a glamorous job, but pretty much what we ended up doing was learning all type of communication. So there's always cross training. So I learned everything from phone services, how to put phone services in the field, satellite communications, any part of communications whatsoever. Because we were over in Okinawa with, I think the unit was 7th Com Battalion, 3rd Marine Division, 3 MEF, and we traveled from most of our training was far as so it was like our unit went to. I didn't get a chance to go to. I wish I did. The Philippines before they closed Subic Bay, and then but most of my training was over in South Korea with operations there constantly. Thailand, we did have the opportunity to go on ship to go to Hong Kong before they closed uh, and took the flag down from the 100-year lease that they had with Europe, and it was turned back over to the Chinese. So yeah, so I got to see some significant things
So you
happen there.
traveled a lot.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
good.
Mhm.
That's good. So how many years did you do in the Marine Corps?
So the Marine Corps total was 15 years, 10 years active duty, 5 years reserve.
And then you went to another branch?
Yeah, I went into the Air Force, and that I spent another 11 years
Wow,
hmm
okay.
in the
So you
reserve.
served us a lot. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah,
Thank you for your service, sir.
thank you.
So after you've done your military duty, you served your country,
Mhm.
and then you decide to do what?
Well, it wasn't. It was actually transitional. So things. So while I was, let's go back to active duty. So transitioning from active duty to reserves, I was transitioning from deciding if I was going to stay here in the DC area or go back home, which is in Texas.
Right.
So I decided to do a little soul searching, and one of my biggest goals was to start a business, and I had not accomplished that yet. Another goal was to finish school. I had not accomplished that yet.
Right.
And another goal after that was to buy a home, or start, or at least start career to build up income in a new area, as far as getting like a full-time job
So you
to
wanted to
start.
do all those things before you went back to Texas.
No, I was thinking like, how could I do those things here?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like, I wasn't trying. My first inclination or my first motivation was not to go back directly to Texas, because that was like, to me at that time was like, okay, if I go home, then, and I haven't accomplished what I started off with,
Right.
then I'm just running back with the tail between my legs, mama. And I was like,
Right.
no. I said, let me
Right.
figure out what is it that I need to do to finish what was on my goal list back
Right.
when I was 17. So I said, well, situations happen, and I took some college classes,
Mm-hmm.
but I had not finished. I did finish. Well, I take that back. I did finish associate's degree, but I didn't finish a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And the associate's degree was over at Strayer University. And everybody who knows this area knows Strayer's prices always go up
Mm-hmm.
on the tuition. So I was just starting to go to Northern Virginia Community College before I decided to change my major from computer science over from computer science. Well, at that time it was IT
Right.
and information technology. I wanted to go to computer science. Well, that's not Nova, so you have to go to 4 years. So that's thinking like, what 4-year universities are there? So George Mason.
Okay. Okay.
So I decided to go ahead and pursue George Mason, and that would be like around the end of my 10. Before the end of my 10 years, I was already looking at courses there, and I hadn't even started my business or anything, but I knew I wanted to start into a business. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to go into,
Right.
and so I went through my little checklist. Is Had to be three things. It had to help people, it
Mm-hmm.
had to be creative, and it had to be flexible,
Right.
meaning I can pick this thing up and move it anywhere.
Right.
So it doesn't matter, because I'm the skill, so I can reset the skill and rebuild the practice or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just happen to be looking in our version of the thrifty nickel back in the day,
Right.
aging myself, is the Marine Corps Times. In the back of they have a whole bunch of ads, and lo and behold, there's a ad for massage therapy, and I had never thought about that at
Mm-hmm.
all. And they said, oh, pay with the GI Bill. So I said, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
I said, okay, cool, all right. And I wasn't gonna do Avon, and I wasn't gonna sell, and
Not
I was not
Avon.
gonna right, and I was not gonna sell. There was another, I can't think of the other,
Amway,
Amway,
Prime
yeah,
America, all that.
I wasn't gonna sell any of that, because I'm not that kind of a salesman. Not that I don't believe in those things.
Right,
It's just
right.
that, couldn't
Mm-mm.
see myself going around trying to chase that
Right.
as a dream. So put all this together, I did decide I was going to go to massage school before
Okay.
I left. And then I knew I was going to stay with the Marine Corps, but I had to make a decision if I was going to stay on active duty. If I stayed on active duty, I was going to be leaving the area,
Mm-hmm.
which it'd be remiss in not saying this, that if once you change your duty station, the last duty station that you're in is the area that they drop you off.
Right. Right.
You get your papers and
You're like, bye.
bye, we done with you. So I said, okay, this area has the most potential, so let me go from active duty. It was a hard decision. Let me go from active duty to reserves. That way I can still go to school. That way I can still pursue the other goals.
Mm-hmm.
And, I prayed about it, and I'm not religious, but I am, I'm definitely
Spiritual.
very spiritual. So I prayed about it, and lo and behold, and toward the end, when you take all those little final uh, courses that they give you to transition out of the military,
Right.
you put your resume up on these systems that they got, and we took all these classes, and something came through. It was like for an IT,
Okay.
and I only had minimum exposure with bless soul Ray. He was one of the government employees that helped us. He taught me how to build a computer from the ground up.
Okay.
So I've had experience with that, and I had the IT degree from Strayer University. So I used that as leverage, along with having security clearance and stuff
Right.
with my other job. So that was what gave me the first job that I started with working in IT help desk at the Department of State.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me to now establish, okay, let me stay in the area. Now I got a job lined up.
Mm-hmm.
But when I come off of active duty, I can start and I can pay rent, and I
Mm-hmm.
can buy food.
Right.
Okay, now we got something going.
Okay.
May not have no furniture yet,
Right.
but we got something going.
Right.
So
right.
looking for an apartment, okay, and then started from there.
Okay.
And moved in, and then just started from there. And then the school for the massage came a couple of years later. I think I started in 2002, 2001, somewhere around there. And so I was still taking courses at George Mason along the way, and changed my major a couple
Right.
of times. But yeah, that pretty much started the educational journey and started the journey for a career as well as a business.
So you finished. You did. So you're still in school though.
Yes, I've been accused of being a lifetime student, but I think we all are.
Right.
But we're always continuous learning. But uh, if I speed it up, I can give you a lot, and you can ask questions about the details.
Well, we're gonna do another segment because it's obvious that there are layers here, and we're gonna
Yeah.
explore those layers a little bit later in another segment. But um, I want to introduce you to my viewers because we are going to also have a segment on this channel that is going to help with one of your core values, which is helping people.
Mhm.
And I've already called it Melvin's Moments.
Okay.
But we can change the name
Yeah,
if you
we'll
like
change
to.
that name.
We can change the name, but Melvin, a moment with Melvin, or Melvin Moments, or but it's going to go with that core of helping people because that is also part of my mission, helping people, and part of the premise of my podcast is that the interesting people in my life have a story that will enrich someone's life. And of course, you came to mind. Now, so we're still in school. Are we still in school for massage therapy?
So let me continue that story.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you, without giving you diving into too many details, I'll give you the passage of how this all happened. So I
Okay.
finished up massage school. Of course, you got to have your license. So I probably took tests 2, 3 times, passed it, started practicing, but it was the out of the trunk of my car.
Okay.
So I had no place to practice like I have now. So I was doing mobile massage, and the name of the car inspired the name of the business. So I drove a Dodge Spirit, so it became Spirit Massage.
I thought it was because you were spiritual.
Nope. Nope. A lot of people get that misnomer. They be like, "What is the Spirit in Spirit Massage?"
Right.
I say, "Really, that's a car." So
Okay. That's cute.
I practiced, and I practiced out of home until I got my first office.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was still pursuing degree, and my I finished working with with my contract with the Marine Corps 5 years later, and I transitioned into the Air Force around 2000. Well, let's say I've been doing that bachelor's degree for a long time because it took a while because they kept changing the courses,
Right.
course, and all that. I graduated with that in 2013. Now backtrack a little bit. I got deployed
Mm-hmm.
in the Air Force to Afghanistan around 2011, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, around 2011. And there's an interesting story about that because, if there's a reservist, sometimes things happen and you got to miss a training.
Right.
So what happened is I had to reschedule a training for one of the Fridays I missed. So it was like a half a day.
Right.
But you can make it up. You
Right.
just have to tell them, you're making it up. So
Right.
I came in, all happy that all I got to do is a half a day. Came in and I'm in uniform. And then the deployment man, one of the unit deployment managers. That's not the real title, but anyway,
Right.
he helps with people getting deployed to different places. He comes in, he's like, maybe he knows,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's Alexa, so don't worry.
Okay.
He's like, maybe he know, he's like, maybe he knows. He's like, because I was looking all happy and stuff. I was happy because I was able to. There wasn't much going on.
Right.
But-
Right.
But he's like, hey, he looked at me with a surprise. I was like, hey, what's up? I'm thinking he's just happy to see me. It was like, but he was happy to see me for a different reason.
Okay.
So long story short is I'm the golden ticket, and I'm keep that in mind.
Okay.
So he's like, I say, hey, you know what's? He asked me, you know what's going on? What's happening? I was like, no, what's happening? Now I got my curiosity.
Right.
And he was like, you're getting deployed. I'm like, huh? Excuse me?
Right.
Like somebody just told you that you just won the $1 million question.
Right.
You just hit the lotto.
Right.
And you didn't know you had the ticket in your pocket. They
Right.
called me the golden ticket because I was the backup to the backup.
Oh.
So there was a person who was already in the pipeline, if you will, for training to go to Afghanistan. Something happened. That person couldn't finish training,
Mhm.
so they had another backup. That person took their place. Okay.
Okay.
When that person took their place, there was some medical issue.
Oh wow.
So now they had to pull that person from the unit and they had to replace it with somebody else.
Right.
I had already had all my physical fitness test was up, my rifle score was up, everything was up. The only thing I didn't have was all the gear.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, the commander was going around looking for people, and he asked him of the unit. He was like, wing commander was looking for people to replace that one person.
Mm-hmm.
And when they looked through all the records, my name came up.
Right.
Now, mind you, I'm 3 levels down
Right.
of a backup.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came in, I just came in because I thought I was making up a Friday. Next thing you know, oh yeah, you get deployed this, and probably within 48 hours. So
Oh wow.
now, mind you, my business is running.
Right.
Mind you, I don't have any. I'm working full time in my job.
Right.
Mind you, I still got classes I got to take and stuff at school.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Oh, that means that we got to get you checked out and get you all geared up and everything
Yeah.
like that. And you have to have all these paperwork signed off. And I'm doing all this by myself with maybe a minimal help, whatever, going back and forth on base.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, long story short, they were like, it went from 24 hours, give me only 24 hours to get to Texas,
Mm-hmm.
where the training was over
Mhm.
near El Paso, before you go to Bagram, to them giving me about a week.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, because I had no gear, they hadn't
Right.
purchased anything.
Right.
I'm going to different places to get name tags and all kind of other stuff, anything I need.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't even had everything, but they had a checklist of all the stuff I was supposed to have.
Right.
before I did
Right.
that. So anyway, long story short, speed it up, went through training. I finished my training, went over to Bagram. I basically had not the attitude, but the approach that with all the egos that were there,
Mm-hmm.
with people who are my Red Horse brothers that are out there with the prime beef. Those are acronyms.
Okay.
With different civil engineering. Red Horse is the one that builds all the runways.
Right.
Prime beef is the one that builds all the structures and builds up the base.
Right.
So there's always that competition. So it's like those were my people I trained with. And so those happen to be the people in charge. I'm like, all these egos,
Mm-hmm.
too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Right.
So I'm fast forward a little bit. We finished deployment. Hallelujah. Rough times. Yeah.
You got back. You got back. You
got back, and
got all your toes and
got all my
fingers.
toes and fingers and everything. And I said, okay, I'll go ahead and start working on stuff with school and business and going back. I finally finished school around 2013 at the end. Brought my mother in and my nephew to come up here to help watch me walk. That was a wish
Right.
that I gave her. I said, you'll be able to see your son walk. So I brought her from Texas, flew her in here.
Mm-hmm.
They got a chance to see me walk and took pictures and had celebrated on the Spirit of Washington with friends after that.
Right.
And then 2014 started to come in. We're coming into the new year. Mind you, everybody, I'm feeling well. I'm great. Everything's good. And I just started feeling sick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this is a totally different story, but I'm about to go into something else.
It's all about you.
Yeah, so
it's all about you.
Yeah, it's a story within a story. So I started feeling sick. I just started coughing and everything. And even my barber was like, man, that don't sound like a regular cough. And a co-worker was like, that don't sound like a regular cough.
Uh-huh.
And I was just feeling ill. I tried everything, Robitussin and all that other stuff. And I even went into the reserve, to do the training,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to end up putting me on sick leave, vet leave.
Okay.
So they did a chest x-ray. All they did was diagnose as upper respiratory infection.
Right.
I went on and decided to go go home. I was running high fevers, and I had not even had a primary care provider,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was paying insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Jeanette James, who helped me with that when I first got my first insurance, because I was paying insurance and not knowing why I was paying health insurance.
Right.
That was going to come in till later into
Mm-hmm.
this. So I went out and started to go to my primary care. Found one online, local, and then all they did was just give me Cherotussin, cough medicine with
another tussin.
Yeah, another tussin. Yeah. So just basically another
Band-Aid.
another Robitussin with
Right.
codeine.
Oh wow.
So just to suppress the cough, it
Right.
wasn't to take care of it,
Right.
what the initial problem was. So speed the story up a little bit. Fast forward,
Uh-huh.
it was a cold morning in the winter, January, outside of CVS, me redoing a prescription, and I was coughing so much that I couldn't even get in my car. And it's freezing outside, 20 degrees.
Right.
And the voice of my friend Peggy just came in. It's like, you need to go to the hospital, have them run all kind of tests.
Right.
So, and I'm watching this couple look at me, and I'm like, I can't even get in my car because I'm coughing so much.
Right.
So I took the child test, and it finally calmed it down. I went to the emergency room, went to Alexandria Inova Seminary Road,
Mm-hmm.
and when I went there, I just left everything in the car. Went to the emergency room to the check-in,
Mm-hmm.
and I told them what all the symptoms were, and then they admitted me, and then ran a couple of tests. Person was like, "What medication?" I said, "They're in the car." He's like, "Don't worry about it." I had high fever, coughing, aches, pains, wanted nausea, wanted to throw up, all kind of stuff.
Mm.
So they ran chest x-ray, they ran CAT scan. And so long story short, bring it up, nurse practitioner came up, and I always shout out to her. I gave her roses for this. I say she saved my life, because when she came up, she said, we have good news and bad news. Good news, we know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Bad news is either lymphoma or it's a thymoma. And as I remember from my studies,
right,
and graduating biology degree in George Mason, that's cancer or something.
Right.
So I said, okay, all right. So I eventually set up an appointment to go get my biopsy, found out it was a lymphoma, scheduled again, run it like a business, like my friend Peggy was saying, just take it in the process and run it like a business. And I scheduled myself for the next one, which was to go to an oncologist.
Mm-hmm.
And all the symptoms showed up when I went to his office.
Oncologist.
Oncologist. Yeah. So
what's an oncologist?
Cancer
specialist. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I went to him. He had the results, so it was all in network. And he wanted to admit me just as fast as I was like there.
Mhm.
Like, so he was like, we need to get you in within 24 hours, get you into the hospital.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, all the things you don't think of, like how am I going to run this through my insurance while I'm in the hospital?
Right.
How am I going to sign anything and whatever like that?
Right.
And that's like, what do I need to bring? I ain't never been in the hospital for no. He was like, you might be in there for a month. A month.
What? A
So,
month?
Yeah. I was
Wow.
like, I ain't never been in the hospital.
You just
for a
came
month.
from CVS.
Yeah. So no, that was actually a 9 week. I spent.
Oh, okay,
That was like,
okay.
had to wait for the results from the biopsy.
Got
to
you,
come back.
got you,
Okay.
got you.
So he put me in, and within 24 to 48 hours, they called me and gave me a bed. I went in. It's like you can order whatever you want to eat. Okay. Next day after that was all tests, all day.
Right.
Putting in a port, doing all kind of EKGs, tested me before they put me in the port, put me in the surgery, put the port in, and immediately after that, the next day they started chemo.
Okay.
So chemo, I ran 8 rounds, spread out because.
What is 8 rounds? What's
so
that?
that's like, for the chemo patients that are out there, they probably got chemo either all at one time. They're there all day at the infusion clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically taking in the chemicals while they're sitting there, and they have all the little bags, and they're basically pumping in all the different chemicals in your body.
Okay.
Mine was kind of spread out. I would be there for like, I'll be there every day.
Okay.
So almost every day during the week.
Okay.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I would have to go over to the infusion clinic.
Okay.
And then I also had some other, other chemicals I could have to take home with me that were on a pump sometimes.
Okay.
So the round, what I mean by round is that you have a round of chemicals that you have to take over a period of time.
Okay.
And then that might last for about 2 weeks. And then you're real sick for 1 good week after all of that infusion. And then you get a couple of boosters, neuroelastic shot to kind of boost your immune system up. And then you get 1 freedom week where you don't do anything. And that's the best week. Because that's like the week you don't have to take any chemicals. You don't have to take any pills.
Right.
And your body is kind of settled down.
Right.
And a round is considering how long you've taken the chemicals, like that first round of chemicals.
Gotcha.
You do the same set.
So you did 8 rounds.
8 rounds.
Okay.
And I shout out to all the women out there because I know what an epidural feels like because I've had the needle in the back where they take out some of your cerebral spinal fluid and put in chemo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I've had that. I don't want to make this whole story.
No,
about
it's okay.
thing,
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but I've had that, and yeah, I've had nausea. Hair fell out. No eyebrows. I aged considerably. Lost some color. I started going yellow.
Lost some color, Lord.
Oh yeah, this is color coming back. When I was on chemo, I was losing color. I was turning yellow.
Okay.
So after that, let's fast forward. After chemo, I was on some pills for a couple of years. I had to work from home, couldn't drive, and meanwhile, believe it or not, I was still doing some massages, a few. Just to keep my hands going. You can only do as much as you can do. So
right.
I would do a couple just to keep me going.
That's good. That's good.
It actually helped me. I had a friend who actually gave me a guitar to help with the peripheral neuropathy.
You can play guitar?
Not play, practice.
Okay, you know. I was like, what? Hold up.
Practice.
Hold up.
Practice, not play.
Okay.
So when you mentioned about still being in school, once I finished up the bachelor's, I finished up chemo. I got my remission in 2015.
Okay.
2015, 2016, roughly. That's when the tubes came out. And I was just on pills, remedial for 2.5 years. Then I started going back to school to see, because I was foggy brain.
Hold on. Okay, so we're in 2025. Where are you now, health wise?
Oh, now I'm in remission.
This is called remission.
Yeah, this is called remission.
You are cancer free.
Well, we don't never say cancer free.
Okay.
We say remission is the mission.
Okay.
So as long as you stay in remission, that means that you're not showing any signs of cancer that is detectable.
Okay.
Okay. So mine has been like I get an annual blood draw.
Okay.
To kind of show what my white blood cells are and everything like that.
And so that's what matters. If your white cell count goes up or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the white cell count goes up or down.
Okay.
Okay. Then that's showing that's the test that you really need to have is the
Uh,
white blood cell count. And that comes from your CBC, the combined blood count.
and you
do
do
all
that
that
every
stuff.
year.
Do that every year.
Mm-hmm.
That's just checking because
Okay.
most of the times everybody has a little bit of cancer in their body, but your body fights it because
Right.
you have a strong enough immune system that it eats those cells
Right.
and spits it out.
So how many years are you in remission now?
9 to 10, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to end it on that right now.
Okay.
And thank you so, so much. And we're going to come back and have another session with you because there's so much more. There's so much more to talk about with you and that my people need to know.
Yep.
So thank you once again, Melvin Williams. We'll be back with him on Groove and Grind with Stacy Brooks. Thank you guys for watching.